Buenos días, americanos del futuro. ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Ah? ¿Ya pagaron todos? ¿Y usted?
Por los dos.
1,000 cada uno.
The research I did for this movie was the way immigrants and coyotes and how people come across the border. And there are different ways of transporting people across the border. So we met with DEA agents who live along the border of Mexico in America. And we had conversations about what it was like 10 years ago, what it's like now.
This is Omaha 4-4 on heading 158 to Laredo.
The border patrol had been beefed up. You have more surveillance type equipment, more aircraft to monitor the border.
Stefano wanted to focus on how locations play an incredible role in how you get across that message. But also, I think he was looking for a lot of the same detail that we had in Sicario.
It was a world that we established in Sicario that we wanted to carry over to Soldado, but at the same time, we didn't want to repeat ourselves.
Ya llegamos.
Soldado definitely has that same hard-bitten, rough and tough, sparse atmosphere, but it's just on a much larger canvas.
We try to paint a really authentic portrayal of the cartels and the violence and intensity and sort of let audiences have a visceral experience in that world.
This would have been a lot easier taking her in the house. Could get real sloppy on the street.
Sloppy is good. Sloppy makes it look like the cartel did it.
When Alejandro and Matt arrive in Mexico City and they have this incredible kidnapping plot, we are on the streets of Mexico City, and I really think it shows kind of the scope of just how big, how colorful Mexico City is.
Isabel is being kidnapped on her way back from her private school. We closed down a 2-block section of downtown Mexico City, and we have a big ambush kidnapping sequence, action sequence.
We have chosen a location that is a bustling area, just to amp up the stakes in the story, just so you can really feel the vibe of the city.
You'll find a lot of different architecture, lots of people, a lot of street vendors, a lot of shops. And we really wanted to show that craziness and madness of Mexico City.
A message to our attackers. Your bombs do not terrify us. They empower us to send you something that is truly terrifying. The full weight of the United States military.
This movie definitely feels bigger than Sicario. We're not just in the American Southwest of Mexico, we're in Somalia and Yemen. The stakes are larger. It feels more global.
I think in Soldado, the military plays a bigger part in our story. Matt is a character who works in and outside of the government. In this particular case, he's working within the government. So the resources available to him are much more substantial.
This feels like a bigger mission. And then you bring in somebody like Stefano, who has his fingerprint on big scope things. And here he's been able to see his vision through.
The action in this movie starts with an incredible series of sequences where we're investigating the potential use of freighters to bring terrorists into America. And it leads to an incredible series of action beats.
Watching Stefano's work, what truly impressed me is that his approach to violence is very unceremonial. Unlike a lot of Hollywood movies where there has to be some major soundtrack, there has to be close up here, close up there, you know. There has to be like induced drama to it. He likes to play everything in long takes, and violence is just, it is what it is by itself. And that makes it much more cruel.
Stefano brought his visceral intensity to the film. The way he shows the violence is straight up. The violence comes at us like a tank.
Nice day for a drive, huh?
Oh, beautiful day. Blue skies, large caliber weapons. I love getting out of the office.
There's a moment in the film where when we shot it, it took days and days to get it right. We're supposed to bring Isabel to a rival cartel, and it's supposed to just be a simple drop-off, and it just goes horribly wrong.
Road isn't paved ahead. You got your thermal?
Yeah, in my bag in the back. You got
The idea there was to create a constant tension. So to have a long, really long scene when you know that something bad is gonna happen.
Oscar 1, incoming on your right.
There, I see nothing.
Contact right.
I don't see anything. Oh, down, down!
The idea there was to be focused on the characters. So the most challenging part was to create the battle by adopting just the point of view of the people inside the vehicles. We decided to have just as a one shot during incredibly complex action sequences in order to keep the point of view on our character and without never losing it.
There was actually quite an elaborate shot, and we actually put a little rail inside the Hummer that the camera could actually track from all the way from the back to the close-up of the driver, pan through Josh, and then track back to Benicio.
I like very much when more than on the action, you concentrate on the tension by being constantly with your characters during the action. I like also VFX, but I feel that putting an actor where you have a real explosion all around them really helps in making the performance.
We had a big shootout. We had explosions going off. Stefano wanted to make sure it looked real. We discussed the ambush, what would the contractors do, and what vehicles would have been used, what weapons. The challenge was the vehicles coming in the right positions, the men moving, firing at the same time, and a week of that, and it was kick-ass.
My favorite action sequence in the movie was the very ending where Matt is on a mission to find Alejandro. It's a lot of action work with the helicopters and the pilots. It's pretty amazing.
Dariusz Wolski, just the scope and vision he had for this, I think he did some of the best photography I've ever seen with the Blackhawks.
To synchronize two helicopters and land the helicopter on the freeway and shoot most of it from the air, that required incredible skill. I have quite a bit of experience because I've done a lot of helicopter work, and there is this incredible team of people here. The problem with Blackhawk is just they're like pickup trucks. They're not as flexible as a Jet Ranger. The camera ship is much more flexible, and to be able to fly straight and just go 180 and land in front of the car in sync while the camera ship is in there, very impressive.
It's pretty dangerous when a Blackhawk lands in front of two moving cars, and the stuntmen were driving that. And then men are getting out of a helicopter that the rotor blades are still turning.
When these Blackhawks are flying around over these cartel soldiers, that's us in it. There's no stunt guys. We're jumping out of a Blackhawk landing in the middle of a road, coming down from 500 feet in about 4 seconds.
I remember being there on the day, just in amazement of these helicopter pilots. It was just phenomenal work. And the DP, Dariusz and Stefano, their ability to capture all that. And what I felt standing there on set and watching, you feel watching it on the screen, which is always the goal.
Soldado's a great action movie with the bells and whistles in the scope, but at the same time, trying to say something.
You love that great storytelling still exists. This is a great story that you get to lose yourself in.
I always believe that a movie must entertain you smartly. Also, I feel it's not bad if after the entertain, the movie made you think a bit about the world that is around you.